The candles are lit on Between the Slicks. Welcome to each and every one of you watching along. Hit that like button if you would as you come in. Hit the share button as well. Subscribe to the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. We welcome the Monday Morning Racer audiences along with the Competition Plus audience as well. I'm Lee Kraft, the Monday Morning Racer. This is Between the Slicks, where we talking about it all in drag racing. A lot of exciting things lined up in the future for Between the Slicks, but tonight I'm also excited. I think we're going to have another great episode. Going to be talking to another Southeast Gassers Association competitor and character about their Bad Fast hot rod and their accomplishment. That is Colby Welch. He is the 2022 B-Gas champion in Southeast Gassers Association competition. We will be chatting with him later on tonight around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be chatting with Colby and get the scoop on his beautiful Falcon Ranchero and why it's purple and called Moonbeam and what this championship fight was like. And he certainly did have a championship fight on his hands. He had a stellar opening to the year, remained consistent enough, obviously, to win the championship. But he was in a fight with Daniel Haynes, who drives the Patriot machine. That's the machine, this way. Oh, I can't get it right. Anyway, over my shoulder, that Daniel Haynes, he's in that machine, and it went right down to the wire. Matter of fact, you can see that action on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. I do have that actually already uploaded, and you can see the final eliminations on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel for A-Gas and B-Gas from Shadyside Dragway, the last race for the Southeast Gasser Association in 2022. Champions crowned, winners given their trophies. The end of the year set. A great year for the Southeast Gassers Association. But as you can see there's the thumbnail. You can see that on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. B-Gas and A-Gas out right now with C-Gas and also Super Stock to come. So thank you for being here tonight. We're going to take a quick break and come back with drag news here this evening on Between the Slicks.
The drag racing life and the RV life seem to go hand in hand like nitromethane and superchargers. And when you are traveling through the Lone Star State and you're needing work done on your RV, well, DFW RV Center is your star to contact.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase. Folks, for drag news this evening, there is a lot of interesting news that are happening in the world of drag racing with stars throughout. One of the interesting developments that was dropped via Instagram, as Drag Racing Central says, MMR, a lot of interesting drag racing stories this week. Tony Stewart at NPK and AB in a door slammer. Yes, AB, Antron Brown in a door slammer. 275 Radals, if I remember correctly, in this Mustang. The man behind the helmet, you can see that little Matco emblem on top. And right there, those stilly eyes of Antron Brown. Saw him earlier today on his Instagram. He was warming up the machine, and you can see that reel. It's a story on Monday Morning Racer Instagram, but you can see it on the Antron Brown Instagram as well. He is going to hop in between the doors and rip down the drag strip at the Snowbird Nationals, which we'll talk about in just a few moments. That's the big drag race this weekend. That's the happening, going thing in drag racing this weekend down there in Florida. But very cool to see Antron Brown getting in a door car. This is a man that is very accomplished in drag racing from his day back in the sportsman ranks, and he obviously got it done in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle Racing. He also got it done in Top Fuel and is getting it done in Top Fuel and is a car owner in Top Fuel. So Antron Brown can effectively do it all. And Antron has expressed at many other times on many other shows, and I've talked with him, that he would love to get opportunities to do other things in the world of drag racing, such as a funny car. You never know with Antron Brown. He's a competitor. He loves drag racing. We may see him in a pro stock one day, may see him back on a bike another day. You never know. But this is a cool development that Antron Brown is behind the wheel of a door car, a bad fast door car, and partaking in an event such as the Snowbird Nationals. Thanks to David Hillner for the photos and getting that news out there beyond even the sources in which we saw this morning. It is great to see Antron doing that. And I think this alludes to something that Wes Buck, with his World Series of Pro Mod and the World Door Slammer Nationals, and what he's kind of thought, what he wants that event to be, there people will come to that race, even though they typically don't run Pro Mod, they run Pro Mod at that race. And we see different names from the other areas of drag racing come to that race, hop between the doors in a door car and rip down the drag strip for big money on the line and prestige, bragging rights, and all the other accolades that come with winning drag races on the biggest stage and in some of the hardest and fastest cars, to drive, and fastest cars to drive that there are out there. So cool, very cool to see Antron Brown in that scenario. And I would hope Funny Car Chaos, the Funny Car Classic, the one where 60, 70 funny cars come out, that's a race that I hope will be very similar in that sense, that you have people, maybe they don't regularly run in a funny car. They come to that event and they get in a funny car and they run a funny car on a big stage in a big setting for the prestige and the bragging rights, though it may not be their normal, typical ride and thing. It is nice to see in drag racing right now people who want to be diversified in their drag racing portfolio. It used to be you were just a nitro person. It used to be you were just a pro stock person. It used to be you were just this class. And I'm glad to see that there have been people throughout the history, though, that try to break that mold and step into other classes and other areas of drag racing. Drag racing is so diverse. Like tonight, we're going to be talking with Colby Welch, the champion in B-Gas 2022 in the Southeast Gases Association, which is very strict and challenging nostalgia racing. And yet you can also talk about the fastest pro modifieds in the world, Outlaw 8th Mile Racing down in Florida, from nitro Top Fuel dragsters to the pure race car that is, to nitro burning top funny cars and beyond. Drag racing is so diverse. It's a great thing, but it is cool to see these people with big names going in and out of certain sectors, like Lyle Barnett, who has picked up his A Fuel license and has done it in the radio world, has now been doing it in the Pro Mod world, and will be doing it in the A Fuel world. And we've seen Stevie Fast Jackson even sit behind the wheel of an alcohol funny car. Those are all great developments and cool things to see, and I hope it continues to happen. Another one like that would be Mike Salinas, Pro Mod and Top Fuel, and he's not even overlooking the possibility of getting on a pro stock motorcycle and racing with his daughter. So all that's out there, and I'm glad to see individuals like Mike Salinas Lyle Barnett and Antron Brown taking those opportunities to get that done and to see what happens. And Drag Racing Central, I see you say, I'm curious what NHRA thinks about all this with AB. I don't think they think much of anything about it. The NHRA doesn't withhold anyone from going and drag racing anywhere else for the most part, especially since they've kind of moved beyond the incident of, trying to revoke licenses with the Street Outlaw guys. That's kind of in the past and moved beyond. But look, there's been a long history of people who have competed in the NHRA competing elsewhere. If you want the history on that, just go look at the 80s, go look at the 70s, go look at the 60s, and see how many of these drag racers, big name drag racers, legends of the sport, Don Garlett, Shirley Muldowney, John Force, Mark Oswald, Kenny Bernstein, many others, how often they would go race at other sanctioning bodies, especially when you had the AHRA in its full song singing days, well, along with the IHRA and the NHRA. So I don't think they think much of it. If anything, it's good exposure for them that one of their top fuel drivers is out there competing in another world. Because of the diversity of drag racing, you've got to remember there are people who follow scenes so intently that they don't know about the other scenes. Yes, that is a reality. We'll continue on drag racing news. And yes, I have to agree, Stacey Gaines Parham, a moment of silence for the death of Atlanta Dragway. Atlanta Dragway was my home national event track. I have rolled a junior dragster right under that now destroyed middle partition under the tower, and I even competed in rounds in junior dragsters, even competed at a Super Chevy show before. So it is definitely sad to see the now destruction, the actual dismantling of the tower superstructure of Atlanta Dragway. And this is not a shock that Atlanta Dragway is under the bucket, if you will. It was sold last year, but for a while, nothing had seemingly been done with it. It was just sitting there. Matter of fact, I was flying back to Texas after flying from the Fall Nationals to pick my car back up for some family reasons, and flew right over Atlanta Dragway. And I thought to myself, wow, there's the tower still there, and it looks like you could fire up and do some drag racing right then and there with just a little bit of maintenance and a little bit of TLC put into the track. But that is not the case now. They have put the bucket to the building and elsewhere, and it is done. The final nail is in the coffin, so to speak. I do hold out hope, though, that drag racing, and when I mean drag racing, I do mean NHRA, Camping World Drag Racing, someday will be back in the Atlanta market. I think that is just too big of a market to let slide. I think that is a market that has such a long history with, in particular, NHRA Drag Racing having a national event, that I think there is a future there. And I think that future is with the SMI group, the Smiths, and I do think that when they have mentioned all the plans they have for Atlanta Motor Speedway, because on the circle track side of things, they have said, hey, we're gonna do some things here. We're gonna expand. We want this to be a greater destination place. Well, in those expansions, why not put a drag strip? I think there's a possibility that we could see that in the future. Let me continue here in the yes, like in the staging lanes. No, not like rolled as in under competition, but rolling a junior dragster into the staging lanes. Yeah, there was a day and time that you always didn't have to have it to a dolly. That goes back that far. John Wilburn, rest in peace, Atlanta Dragway. I miss that great track. I certainly do too, John. James, he's got a comment on what is his thoughts on Atlanta Dragway. Says, what's up, MMR? My thoughts on Atlanta Dragway. That was one of the best drag strips down in the Deep South, along with ZMAX, Gainesville, and Bristol. A lot of great races there. Rest in peace, Atlanta Dragway. You know, one thing about Atlanta I really liked is Atlanta was not a pristine track. And what I mean by that, sure, by the time it got toward the end of its life, it needed to be remodeled. It needed to be revamped. But the track, like the track surface, it was not a pristine track. You had that bump and you had the transition, and it tended to fall during a time of the year that the weather over just 3 to 4 days could change drastically. And sometimes it was that first hot, humid race on the season, because it can be hot in May in Georgia, and you would find some crazy, wild, wicked things happen at Atlanta. So it is a place that I'm sorely going to miss. I don't think every drag strip, the surface has to be perfect. I know we want great drag racing. Don't get me wrong. I know we want side-by-side drag racing, but I also want it to be a situation at times where tuners go into a facility and they have to tune a car to the challenges of that particular track. If a track has character, I don't think we need to rub the character out of all these tracks. For example, Darlington in the NASCAR world. What makes that place so great is the line is right up against the wall. It chews up tires. It is not a perfect track by design. It's unique. It is truly unique. And I love the tracks like a Darlington, like an Atlanta, that have character and make these tuners and drivers really have to think about how are they going to get down the track. Oh, am I going to be ready to pedal when I go over that transition if I need to? All those types of elements. That's something I liked about Atlanta. I really, really did. Oh, let's see. John says, there is farmland all around it, and the battery place could have been built anywhere else. I mean, true, John. You know, look, I can remember when there was nothing in Commerce except the drag strip, a few motels, and a few restaurants, and a Unical 76 truck stop. But it has grown and grown and grown and grown to a point where me living in the upstate of South Carolina, an hour and a half away from Commerce, it was also the destination spot for the outlet malls. Like you go get your Nike shoes, you go get your denim before school started and things of that nature. So it had to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow and become more than just a place for the drag strip, or a place that was far enough from Atlanta that no one thought development would get to it. Driving from Atlanta to the upstate of South Carolina now, there's not that many portions of the road anymore where it doesn't feel like you're in somewhere that is developed. And that's only going to continue to happen and grow. So whatever it does become, you know, obviously I've heard housing, I've heard Amazon, I've heard something else to do with the battery factory, whatever it becomes, it is sad. But progress and things are moving along. But maybe we'll see drag racing in that market again in the future. Stacy, Steele, Alabama, isn't it a quarter mile? Yes, it is a quarter-mile facility. It is a IHRA sanctioned track. Been there a couple of times myself. Even got runner-up at the World Bracket Finals in Junior Dragster competition for my first time ever visiting there. Racing for Ware Shoals Dragway. Love Steele, Alabama. Dennis Frame, good to have you along from Long Island, New York. Ryan Hill, hot Atlanta. That is true. All right, let's continue in drag racing news. There is still a lot more to cover. Did mention the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals 2022. $51,000 are on the line there in Florida at Bradenton, Florida, Bradenton Motorsports Park. Listen to the names. Listen to the names of some of the people that are in competition. Over 40 people, over 40 pro mods are entered, and that's not the only class racing, by the way. Definitely it is the premier class. Melanie Salemi, the defending champion. Todd Tutterow, PDRA Pro Boost champion. Jim Halsey, PDRA Pro Nitrous champion Jason Lee, Mike Decker Jr., that's Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod Association champion Stevie Fast Jackson, Lyle Barnett, J.R. Gray, many other big names. If you're a big name in the pro mod world, you are down there in South Florida right now running for $51,000. And this race, I think, out of all the races in the pro mod world, this is the one that you want to win because you truly have bragging rights over everybody. You might not have won a championship over your fellow competitor who might have nabbed it, but for that one race, for those rounds of eliminations, to qualify for it and to win it, I think it's the one to have in your bag as a pro mod racer for the bragging rights. So you can catch the action on flowracing.com. Flowracing.com. They will be streaming the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals there from Braden Motorsports Park. The WDRA World Drag Racing Alliance, they have announced that they have a partnership worked out with Summit Racing Equipment. So the WDRA, the World Drag Racing Alliance, the newest sanctioning body in drag racing that they hold up as the hallmark of their brand, the home for the sportsman drag racer. They have worked out a partnership with the Parts Catalog House. Well, not too many catalogs anymore. Nonetheless, the mail order speed shop, Summit, and good to see that this group is picking up speed and they're adding tracks. I just hope that, as Steve Earwood had him on Tuesday night on Competition Plus Power Hour, he said one thing that he wished drag racing would have figured out is how to be more unified. I think drag racing can move forward with diversity. IHRA, WDRA, AHRA, NHRA, PDRA, many of these other series that are in and out and don't really function as a sanctioning body and sanctioning tracks. I think the whole sport can move forward as long as people are willing to work together. Wouldn't it be cool if somebody figured out, hey, let's get a huge runoff between the champions of the WDRA, NHRA, IHRA, and so on, and have that style of event, and it be for bracket racing, and not just be a big money style scenario, but it be sanctioned and a co-sponsored type of event. It has happened in the past. It has happened in the past, long time ago. Matter of fact, let me know, when was the first Winter Nationals? Got a video coming up on that here in the not near future, but distant future, talking about the actual first Winter Nationals. Who were the co-sponsors of it? A little trivia tonight. See what you got out there. Well, we are going to move along. That man, that cool dude, Don the Snake Perdome, he is going to be entered into yet another Hall of Fame. He is in, well, it seems like all of them. The SEMA Hall of Fame, the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, the Drag Racing Hall of Fame. You name it, it seems like he is in just about every Hall of Fame that a drag racer could be a part of, and he's going to be a part of another one. The Lions Automobilia class, the first class of this Hall of Fame at the Lions Museum, Lions Dragway Museum there in Southern California. Don the Snake Perdome is going to be inducted along with Mickey Thompson, Ed Iskadarin, Vic Edelbrock Sr., and CJ Pappy Hart, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the last race at Lions Dragway. And that is going to be on December 3rd. There is a great museum there that commemorates Lions Dragway. It is certainly worth checking out. It is on my list. It needs to be on your list. A lot of history there. And Don Perdome, I'm paraphrasing here, but said of this award, this honor, and going into this hall, that it's just as important and means just as much as any of the other ones, because Lions Dragway was instrumental into his career and the career of so many others, and honestly, drag racing as we understand it. So congratulations to Don Perdome once again and all the other inductees. Big news dropped this week. Angel Sampay is without a ride. in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle competition. Vance and Hines has released her. She is no longer with the team. And in an article on NHRA.com that you can read, a very sobering article, she mentions that she did not capitalize on what she felt could have even been a year or should have been a year where she won another championship. She still has many goals in drag racing. She mentioned in that article, like getting to 50 wins and being highly competitive once again. And she believes that she can still do that at the highest level for a naturally aspirated motorcycle in the NHRA Pro Stock motorcycle ranks. So, Angelle, don't know where she's going to land for 2023. She's definitely going to be looking and searching. Probably the biggest news in silly season right now, for sure. She did mention in the article, again, you can read on nhra.com, that owning and driving, or riding in this case, is something that she would entertain and has always thought she would enjoy and would like to experience. So maybe Angelle works it out where she has her own bike and own team, own program, and runs in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle in 2023. Factory experimental. You are seeing a concept of what will be able to be viewed at PRI. Yes, NHRA factory experimental. There will be, Jeff Turk will have this car at PRI for everyone to view and to see. And I'm definitely going to get on the floor early and try to get photos of this thing, get video of this thing, and check this thing out up close. Lonnie Grimm, the National Technical Director for the NHRA, expresses that there are confirmed 17 committed cars being built, and these things look good, ladies and gentlemen. There is the Dodge, here is the Chevrolet Camaro, and here is the Ford Mustang. If you love Pro Stock, but you want your cars to look stock, I think Factory Experimental is going to be the class that you want to have your eye out on, and I definitely will have my eye on this class. But we can expect this car to be on the floor at PRI in 2023 to be the true debut of this class at a NHRA national event at some point. Rolling right along, also at PRI, you can expect to see Ida Zetterstrom, this beautiful young lady. She is over in Europe, and she is a former motorcycle champion herself in Europe. She is also the quickest lady in Europe in Top Fuel. There is her hot rod. Finished well this year in the abbreviated season that they had, but she's going to be at PRI, and she has already made it clear that she expects and intends to make her NHRA Camping World Top Fuel debut sometime in 2023. If you want to learn more about Ida Zetterstrom, you don't have to go far. You can stay right here on the Monday Morning Racer platform. Go to the YouTube channel, Monday Morning Racer, and search Ida Zetterstrom, and you will see a Between the Slicks with her earlier this year. I've already talked with the PR rep, and we expect to have her along with Camry Caruso day one at PRI. It's my intention for the Between the Slicks show to go live each day from PRI in the middle of the day, probably 11 a.m. to noon. Day number one, we're going to have Camry Caruso and Ida Zetterstrom and talk with them and get updates from them. Obviously, Camry Caruso being the 2022 NHRA Rookie of the Year, and Ida Zetterstrom, Top Fuel racer over in Europe, looking to make her way here into drag racing in the States. So very quickly, before we go to Colby Welch, who is in the green room, and we've got him queued up and ready to go, let me go to the comment section and see what we got going on here real quick. Oh, let's see. Ross Taylor says, people need to know about this Welch kid. He is a total package, marketable, and an awesome driving talent. I agree, man. That's why we're going to talk with him. That's why we're going to talk with him. Let's see. Dennis mentioned, sorry to hear that about Angelle. Yeah, it is tough. You know, Angelle is one of those, I want to see her go out on her terms. What I mean by that, she is someone that deserves like a farewell tour. she's done so much for Pro Stock Motorcycle, and she's accomplished so much as a lady racer. It would be good to see her get that opportunity, and the fans appreciate her and say, hey, thank you for what you've done, and we're pulling for you, and ride off into the sunset and enjoy your time. Stacy says that's what Pro Stock should be. I, for the most part, have to agree with you, Stacy. That is what it should be. Jeff Turk better get a TDS on that car. Yes, we're going to have that commercial in just a moment. That would certainly work well on those Dodges, and allow them not to be popped into neutral and roll off. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. Right after the break, Colby Welch, your 2022 B-Gas champion. You get the letters mixed up sometime in all the drag racing, the alphabet soup that is in drag racing. He is the B-Gas champion in 2022 for the Southeast Gassers Association. Right after the break, we will chat with him.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your central console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope.
Colby Welch, welcome to Between the Slicks.
Hello, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great, doing great. Good to have you on, and I'm glad to finally get you on. I thought about having you on earlier in the year, and I'm like, man, I need to talk to Tim Hall. He's rattling off all these wins. I got to get him on, and then I didn't make another race, and you didn't pick up a win, but you picked up the championship. I even told you sitting on the wall, like, you got to get it done. You need to have a reason to come on the show, and you got it done. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, 2022 champion B-Gas. I hate asking, what does it mean? But honestly, what does it mean to you to accomplish this? How hard has it been? What was all the work like going into it? You've had several weeks now to kind of let it soak in. How does it feel to be the champ?
It is it's definitely quite the feat, and it's not something that I initially expected out of building that race car with my dad a few years back. So it means a lot to me. I never even knew a win would be possible, let alone a championship. And so really, with all the work we put in and years prior, getting the car figured out and all that, it's just kind of a huge reward, especially with this season. It was a real tough season. We had some trouble throughout it, and just worked real hard to get where we needed to be. So it was great to have that reward at the end.
Well, you're already getting the people congratulating. Tom White says, congrats, Colby, proud of you and your team. And Doug Dodge says he had the chance to work with you this summer, and everything that you do is top notch. And Stacy also mentions doing us Ford guys proud. Yes, may Fords win all the time. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. So, Colby, going into the final race, Shadyside Dragway championship finals, you were in a honestly, the tightest championship battle that Sega had for the year, just separated from Daniel Haynes in the Patriot, another Falcon, very interestingly. But what was your thoughts going into the last race? Earlier in the season, having a great run and stayed consistent enough to stay in the points lead, but here comes Daniel winning a multitude of races, even winning the finals, but yet you got to the points tally first, tied, and you are crowned champion. So that last race, where were your emotions? Where were your thoughts? Were you as calm as ever and just did your job, or was it biting some nails getting through it?
It was definitely a very nerve-wracking race. A lot of pressure I put on myself, to get the job done. But yeah, throughout the year, we started out strong, very consistent at the beginning of the year, and I held a pretty good lead. I guess probably 6 races into the season, and past that, I had a few little hardships, engine troubles and whatnot, and it brought me back to where Daniel was real tight at that last race, even before that. Um, so being able to pull that off was huge, but the pressure I put on myself was a lot, but I tried to stay as calm as I could.
Leslie Horn, AGAS champion, who we talked to just last week, said he had to put them Chevy parts on that Ford to make it run at Shady Side. Well, what's he talking about there?
So we had a rocker fail at Shady Side, a roller tip. The pin came out, and Leslie was able to have the exact rocker we needed to get it back on the car, get it running. So I definitely do owe a lot of that race to some Chevy parts, and Leslie, being so generous to give me a hand with that rocker that I needed to finish the race. So.
Well, they're all V8, so no. Timothy Hall, Tim Hall says congratulations to you and the team, and Greg Speed Shop says great work to Colby and family. Very proud of them. And Kimberly Billings Carr says congratulations to you and your team. So look, this was a very popular championship, very popular. You earning this and your team and the family affair that it is. Talk to us about the team. Who all is involved and who makes it work for you on a weekend and made it work for you weekend after weekend this year to win a championship? Who all is involved?
The biggest supporters I definitely have are my close family, my dad, my mom, my sister. They've definitely put up with a lot and worked just as hard as I have throughout this year and years prior to get me there. So I owe it all to them, really. But I've got a lot of people that have stepped up, supported me, helped me get parts I need throughout the year to have a top running car. We got a lot of good sponsors that help us out there. Bond and Fawny, Clutches, Rebel Wire, Harlan Sharp. They're all very helpful, and we got some other people back home. Precision Mechanical Group, Egley Farms, Kirshner Machine. They all stepped up, when we needed it, and they've been supporting me for a long time. So yeah, I've got a lot of people there, and then friends at the track. Jimmy Huff and Gabe Burrow and his family. They're kind of my Ford heroes. So they've always had my back from the beginning, and they just kind of set good examples for me.
Well, we've got some folks asking about the engine combination. I want to get there, but first, let's break down the history on this ride. I did some digging, and I found this photo. I do not remember the car in this configuration, but it's even before the purple. Here it is primered, just
Yep.
with some purple edges. So how long have you had the car? Break down year and model for us, and build it up. Why purple and why moonbeam?
Sure. So I believe I've had the car since I was 14. Uh, it took us about 3 years to get it together into the state it was there. So we got it together, put a little 4347 in it, and ran it 2 races my first season when I was 16 in that configuration there. So it was primered, and my sister did a lot of the lettering on the car, and we just got it out there and did some racing. Originally, I really built it to be a street strip car. I didn't plan on actually racing a full season or nothing by any means. I didn't think I'd be competitive. So we had that first initial season, ran 2 races. The second one I got into the semifinals, so it kind of definitely gave me the bug, to keep pushing the car, seeing what we can do better. But the car, the purple color, is definitely a color that I really liked. My dad's race car way back when he did circle track racing was purple, so that was kind of a big inspiration. And I spent some time looking at other cars, paint books, whatnot, till I found that right color. But that's kind of where all that came from. And then the Moonbeam name was definitely inspired a little bit by Gene Cromer's Moonlighter. He was one of the first Southeast Caster cars I actually first go down the track. So he was a big inspiration to me.
Oh, well, that's very cool. Very cool to hear that. I mean, the Moonlighter has a special place in my life and my heart. My dad, obviously, working with Gene Cromer all those years way back, and the Moonlighter is a beautiful car and it's a beautiful name. And Moonbeam, I like it. It fits, and it's a beautiful. What purple is it? It is a very nice purple you have on that ride.
So what it was a custom mix color we had done by a paint company called Tamco. I used a picture of the old Joe Mondello Fiat kind of as inspiration and let them mix something up that they could do, and they sent us a sample, and right off the bat it was just, I fell in love with the colors.
Awesome. So that's so cool. So much history right there with a historical piece. And you have a unique piece. You've got a Ranchero. You've got the car with the bed thing going on. Like, there's trucks out there in Sega and there's cars out there in Segas, but you're doing, as the Australians would say, the Ute thing in the Southeast Gassers Association. And it's a cool thing in its own right. How many people do you find gravitate to the car just because it's got a bed and it is this different piece out there within the Southeast Gassers Association?
Yeah, there's definitely people that'll, tell me it's a very unique car. The Ford fans, they'll like it a lot, say, they haven't seen one of them in a while. And that was kind of my goal with it. I'm a big Ford fan. I like the Falcons a lot. I think they're a good platform. And I knew that Ranchero would be something kind of unique, maybe something, no one would want to build another one of those. So I took it and ran with it. I think it's a really good platform, and it's definitely a unique car. The color, it all works together well. I think it's pretty good looking. So,
as of right now, what is in your hot rod? What's the engine combination?
It's a 354 cubic inch Ford motor with a Boss 302 style, Cleveland head on it. It was an engine that we'd kind of, talked with several people designing it and, selecting components, whatnot. And then I put it together back home in Iowa with Tommy Kirshner. He was a machinist that I worked for about a year, and he definitely taught me many of the things I know about putting together an engine and engine building and design. So it was definitely an experiment, but it's worked out well. It's a pretty powerful combination.
So you're saying you built the motor yourself?
Yeah, the machinist I worked with there, he did the machine work, and then my dad and I did the assembly, with him watching close over us. And yep.
That is awesome to hear that competitors such as yourself and like Tim Hall building things in shop, going drag racing and winning. I mean, that's what drag racing was all about. Get it done in your shop, take it out, run it, and be competitive. And it's cool to hear that that's the case in the Southeast Gassers Association. That still is happening and still going on, and that you're a part of it as well. Well, what's the price of the car right now? Because you said it was for sale. You won the championship. I'm sure you've raised the price. What's the plans going into 2023? Are we sticking with the Moonbeam as it is? You're going to put another engine in it? Going to sell it outright? What's Colby Welch want to do?
I'm probably gonna hang on to the car for a little while. Reason being, I thought about getting rid of it was to put together something, move up to A gas. Was kind of my initial idea there, but I'm pretty happy with the car right now. I think I'm gonna, try, for another season next year with it and see what we can do with it. There's still a lot that I want to try with the car. I've got lots of ideas. So I think I'm gonna try another year and then further decide from there what my plan is.
We have Dana and Diana Casto saying rumors have it maybe Dad will be driving it this year or next year is what I believe they're referring to. So Dad going to hop behind the wheel at all?
That's nothing we've discussed by any means, but uh, but he could definitely try to give me a run for my money on that.
And what about dear old sis, always doing the backup duties? Does she happen to have any driving desires whatsoever?
So she does have a good background in the driving and racing a little bit as well. She's always been along working with us on everything we've done. So she knows a lot about it there, and she has a 66 Dodge Dart of her own that we were kind of thinking we might do some super stock with maybe down the road. But it's a street driver car. It's a 6-cylinder with a Pro Charger, and she's had it on the track a few times now, and definitely enjoys it. She's a very talented driver, so she cuts a very good reaction time. All
right. Well, man, we need to see her in a Southeast Gasser Association gasser here soon. We need to work that out.
Yeah, it's definitely something in the back of my mind. So, we'll just have to see where the future takes us.
Well, definitely good to hear that you certainly got to go out there and defend the championship for sure. Nobody has done this repeat thing in Southeast Gassers Association, so someone's got to go out there and do it. And you being champion in 2023, you're definitely going to have the shot to do that. In 2023, for the Southeast Gassers Association, things are going to look a bit different schedule-wise. You're less a race than normal, 10s over 11, a couple of double headers with Shady Side and also Knoxville Dragway, a new addition in Gulfport. What do you think of the schedule that was dropped when you look at it and travel and competing and all of those things? Are you glad to see, Knoxville another time and racing there and competing there? And does that play into your wheelhouse, so to speak?
Sure. Every year they normally will change up the schedule a little bit, add a track or drop a track. And I'm happy with this year's as well. I'm kind of excited to see that new Gulfport track, and the Knoxville track definitely is one of my favorites, and it's right close to home for us. So that would definitely work out in my favor.
All right. Likes the 2023 schedule. Yeah, Leslie saying Dad in B gas and Colby in A gas. So Leslie Horn's like, come on, bring it on. Bring it on. The chick magnet over there. So
yeah, someday I'd hope to have something for Leslie, so we'll see.
It does seem like in most areas of drag racing, no matter where you go, if you're in Funny Car Chaos, you've got A, B, C, D field, D if there's enough cars. If you're in the C field, you want to move to the B and B to the A. And, if you're in alcohol funny car, you eventually want to go to nitro funny car. It seems like any form of racing has got that step up system. And not to take anything away in Southeast Gassers Association competition, because the competition is tight no matter what class you're in, from super stock all the way to A gas. But it is nice to hear Tim Hall has said about moving up, and you've mentioned possibly moving up and competing at the fastest cars, competing with the fastest cars on the property, and making the competition that much greater and that much more challenging in Southeast Gasser Association when you have all these champions of these other categories go in to the top level.
Yeah, there's definitely that that element of moving up. There's always a faster class, so it definitely adds a level of interest to it. Being able to move up and progress with it, and that's kind of my goal for myself, is to move up and see if I could compete with them someday.
So how many years has it been to this point competing in Sega?
This is my 4th season racing with the group.
All right, 4th season, and you're still a young man. Why Southeast Gasser Association drag racing? You would think, it being nostalgia drag racing, this is going to cater to a bunch of old fuddy-duds. And that's all you're going to find in there is old people and people that have no hair, like Leslie. And that's all you're going to find. But no, here you've got a strapping young man, a full head of hair, and is mechanically inclined and is in Southeast Gasser Association dragway racing. Why isn't it radial? Why isn't it super stock and NHRA? Why Sega?
I originally saw the group run at a nostalgia race up by Chicago, the Meltdown Drags, and it just kind of hooked me. They're racing 8th mile, putting the wheels up, running no times on the board. So right off the bat, it was just a very interesting group. I've always kind of had a thing for the older, more nostalgic cars, where more driver skills required, especially in this class. So that's definitely what got me hooked, reading through the rules and just seeing all the good people in the group, all these cars that I, really liked. So that's kind of what got me into it, the competitiveness of it, as well as having a nostalgia race car.
Certainly cool race cars, and the competition. It is fascinating how close these cars under such strict rules are. It is fascinating to see. And every time I go to a Southeast Gassers Association race to cover, to film, to take photos, what a wonderful sight, and how close things actually are. And you truly never know who is going to get the win, because someone might roll the beams, someone might miss a shift, someone might get out of shape. You never know what is going to happen going down the strip. What about your car? What's the temperament on it? Like Adam Lowhorn says here, I heard Colby wanted to do some wheel stands. He's obviously with the rod slinger. He puts the thing on the bumper. Atomic Hillbilly, he put the thing on the bumper at Shady Side. Is your car one that by this point now you have figured it out, and it's going to carry the front tires for a little ways, not too much, and it's going to go straight? Or you really having to manhandle that thing? What's the temperament of the Moonbeam?
It's definitely a really well handling car. Considering there's no broken component to be dealing with, but we've spent a lot of time racing, testing at the racetrack, analyzing the suspension setup and whatnot. A lot of that I owe credit to Jim Stiltner. He taught me nearly everything I know about suspension tuning. So we just spent a lot of time working on it, and it's definitely a very consistent car. I can make changes on it, shock tuning, whatnot, and see improvement being made from pass to pass. So it's a well handling car.
Well, the motorsports world is looking forward to PRI next week. I had originally reached out to you and been like, hey, what's the schedule? Possibly get you on then. And then I realized I got a Thursday before PRI, hence having you on tonight. But going to PRI, what are some of the goals? What are some of the objectives? Are you just going to enjoy it and see what all is going on at the Performance Racing Industry Trade Show?
Yeah, sure. Last year was the first year we went there, and it was a lot to take in. There's lots to see there, lots of interesting new components, whatnot, and it's all out of play. So there's lots to be learned. I definitely look forward to being there, talking with some current sponsors of mine, and catching up with them, and then just kind of seeing what all else is out there. What I could be missing on my car, and just marketing myself as best as possible.
We've talked about Sega. We've even talked about the future in Sega. Are there any aspirations beyond the Southeast Gassers Association that you desire to dip the toes in the water and experiment with and see what kind of racer you are in other avenues? You know, you mentioned your dad having a background in circle track racing. Is that something on your radar to do some oval track racing anywhere? Where does Colby Welch want to go?
There's a lot I think about, and I'm definitely interested in, many forms of motorsports. Currently, I'm involved at a little Formula 5 team at my college here, and it's definitely taught me a lot. It's a very interesting way to look at racing, with a lot of modern technology involved. So I do enjoy all forms of motorsports, and I hope I continue to have a good successful future in it. So I'm just kind of seeing where that takes me.
That is cool to hear. So where are you studying? Where are you going?
I go to Tennessee Tech University, and that's in Cookeville, Tennessee.
Okay, Tennessee Tech. So when you talk about Formula 5, you said 5,000, right?
Yeah, basically.
You're talking about like they're almost like a go-kart, but they got the full wing set up and everything on them?
Sure. Yep.
Yep, cool. Man, love those programs that those colleges have. And it's like I know, RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, they have one, and I think the 49ers over here, University of North Carolina, Charlotte, have a program. They're dotted all over that these colleges have that program, and it's interesting that being involved with another form of motorsport, it's gave you a different glimpse and a different look on even what you're doing. So that's fascinating to hear. Very, very insightful. And hey, you never know where that might go. Colby might be in Formula one day working on a car.
So yeah, it's definitely an interesting type of racing, and I've learned to kind of pull knowledge and different techniques in the car from different forms of racing from it. So.
Well, we're going to start winding down here tonight, Colby. Kim Haynes says, I'm very impressed by Colby and his driving ability. He is actually quite humble and has a very good attitude. Congratulations, buddy. It was great competing for a championship with the Welch family. And Ross chimes in and says, awesome young man, a driver that knows how to work on the car. What a concept in the world of rental rides. That is true. That is true. Well, look, last question I've got for you before we get to the point of, hey, just take the floor and thank some folks is from Stacy Welch, if I can find it here very quickly. I think it's very fitting. Oh, where did it go? Oh, I've lost it. Oh, here it is. What is more nerve-wracking, Colby? Racing Ken Rainwater at the finals or this interview?
It's a tough toss up there.
It's a tough toss up.
Yeah. Very, very competitive racer. He's always up on the trees.
And look, very critical, do or die time. I mean, Daniel Haynes was matching round by round, and you get to the final round, y'all are tied. You tied, and yeah, he goes on to win the race, but you pick up the championship. I cannot imagine knowing in the competitive level that is with Southeast Gassers Association drag racing that I have got to stick with this person chasing me. I don't know. Like when I do iRacing or other things that are competitively, I feel better when I'm the one chasing and not out in the lead. If I'm out in the lead, I have a hard time hanging on and keeping the competitive juices flowing. Let me chase somebody. So congratulations, man. You held off Daniel.
Thank you.
Well, look, who do you got to thank? Sponsors, family, everybody out there. Take the floor, man.
I definitely do have a good group of supporters behind me. This definitely isn't something I could do on my own by any means. So yeah, I would like to thank Bonifani Friction for coming on this year. Their clutches have definitely brought us to another level of competitiveness. They're very consistent. I would recommend them to anyone. Harlan Sharp as well. They helped us out throughout this year. Getting to races, whatnot, and giving us a pretty good valve train that we could count on. And then Rebel Wire was one of my first sponsors, setting me up with the electrical harness for the car. So that was huge. That was when I was very young, and they stepped on board, as well as Precision Mechanical Group and Egley Farms back home. They were big supporters and big family friends. So I owe a lot to them, as well as that Kirshner Machine and Bush Racing Heads for advising us and helping us get together a good engine. And then Jim Stiltner, he's taught me a lot about suspension knowledge and all that. And then Butch Tuning, he's one of my biggest supporters. This car actually originally belonged to him, and he spent a little bit of time racing in the 60s, and he follows us along, and he's right there with me. So he's a very good friend. And then, of course, Jimmy Huff and David Burrow and their family helping us at the track. And then Randy Kiefer and Ron Allison became good friends of mine. They live right down the road here, and helped me when I needed it this season. And I try to return the favor as much as I can for them. And then Greg Stelsey with Greg's Speed Shop. He helped me find some axles this year when I needed them. So, and I think he's definitely going to be a competitor in AGAS next year as well. So, yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, look, I'll throw one more last question to you. I got one through email from Tim Siebel, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. And I'm going to paraphrase. I'm going to condense the question. In essence, there seems to be somewhat of a battle in Southeast Gassers Association between the likes of what you have mentioned and Tim Hall does, building your own engines, doing the machining and the work, compiling it, and you've got big name engine builders like Gene Fulton and guys dropping some serious dough on some bullets. Do you find yourself at any disadvantage with those that are going out and buying these brand name engines and dropping them in the machines? And do you find that there might even need to be a time where horsepower is even limited greater in the situation? And explain to us how the whole weight per cubic inch thing works in Sega, by the way. So take all that and run with it.
Okay, I need some refreshment, but I guess first of all, I don't think we're at much of a disadvantage. Go out to one of the big names and buy an engine. We're working with the same rules and the same technology, so they may have lots of years of knowledge, but putting together a good engine just takes time and research and really working hard at it. So someone being able to spend that money, they definitely earn that money working hard, and I'm gonna work hard to put together a good engine, and have what I can with that. But the weight per cubic inch is also levels of playing field where we don't have to all race with the same cubic inch, but have the same requirements. There could definitely be, say, an advantage for a lighter car with a smaller cubic inch. It may be easier to achieve horsepower than a heavier, bigger cubic inch car, but that's all in the combination of what you put together.
And there it is from Colby Welch, the 2022 B-Gas champion in Southeast Gassers Association competition. Colby, Ross Taylor says, great interview from both of you. Hope to see you at PRI. So, man, you did a fine job. Thank you for coming on Between the Slicks and talking with us tonight. Look forward to seeing you at PRI myself. Thank you for the time, man.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Adios. All right, folks, that was the 2022 B-Gas champion, Colby Welch, in his Moonbeam gasser. Great to have him on. And yes, Stacy, I agree. Great answer for a 19-year-old kid. Definitely got a good head on his shoulders, and I like some of the things he's involved in, and has a beautiful Falcon Ranchero that he's racing with, and love the history behind it, and definitely a deserving champion. And I'm looking forward to what very well may be a dogfight next year. Daniel Haynes stepped up his performance greatly this year, rattled off many wins toward the end of the season, obviously tied Colby, but Colby got there first. Therefore, he got the tiebreaker and the championship. I'm looking forward for Ford versus Ford, Falcon versus Falcon next year in BGAS. That's definitely going to be good to see. And then who else can jump up there and be highly competitive? Because you do have those like, well, Ken Rainwater out there that always is a threat. Some of the best racing. It's hard, it's hard to say in Southeast Gassers Association drag racing what class has the best drag racing, because they're all so good. A gas, B gas, C gas. I love Superstock. I'm a big Superstock fan. And now we are seeing reports that the AFX class looks like some people are, they're getting their cars further along, and we are going to have more cars in that class. And we've got H gas as well. So I think there's a bright future, even though it's already doing very well, Sega. I think there's a bright future for it as a drag racing brand in the diverse world that drag racing is. So thank you all for watching. Congratulations once again, Colby Welch, to your championship. Next week, the plan is to be live from PRI Thursday, Friday, Saturday, beginning at 11 a.m., go for about 1 hour or just a little bit over, so just a little bit afternoon. So maybe you can get your lunch and watch myself, Lee Craft, the Monday Morning Racer, Between the Slicks. I do know episode 1 Thursday should be Ida Zetterstrom and also Camry Caruso, NHRA Rookie of the Year from the Pro Stock class. Be talking with them live from Scott's Performance Wires. Thanks to Leslie Horn for that number. Called Mike View, talked to Julie, and Scott's Performance Wires, a big supporter of Southeast Gassers Association Racing, going to be using their booth to go live with Between the Slicks and talk to the people in the world of drag racing at PRI. To everyone that watched, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.
Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean.